Ooh, you ready to get uncomfortable today?
I'm already uncomfortable. I woke up with a stiff neck, and I guess you got a tummy bug, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm uncomfortable for a whole lot of reasons, not the least of which is my stomach bug.
Yeah, I think what you need to do after you're with the show is go put on that. Not what is that onesie called?
A onesie?
No, what is that thing?
A snuggie?
Yeah, go put on your snuggie. Go lay on the couch. Watch some Elmo or something. Just take the day and relax, man.
I will. I'm going to go watch Sesame Street, and I will put on my snuggie because I'm going to need it. You're all going to need it after today's show. We are going to have a frank discussion about the biggest stories of the day that you won't see covered in the mainstream media. That's why you watch this show. We're going to get uncomfortable. We may disagree with one another. We probably will. That's okay. But Biden issues a stunning vaccine mandate. Why did he change his mind? Remember what he said just a few months ago?
Under pressure.
We'll find out, exactly why. Like, why did he switch why did he flip on this issue? And why is liberal media excited about it? Conservative media is pretending to be outraged about it. I'm saying pretending because I really don't think that they're actually outraged about it. I think they're actually pretty excited about it for a variety of reasons. There's so much mendacity to go around in this whole argument. So we will unpack this mess this morning. And then speaking of the mainstream media, did I just spit on myself? I don't know. Man,
probably.
I'm a mess. Why are the media ignoring Dr. Fauci's lies before Congress? Why do you think?
Yeah.
You want this narrative out there? We're going to unpack the Dr. Fauci lies, the new evidence we reported earlier in the week. Again, no mainstream media coverage of this.
No,
Pretty
they're
surprising.
Still just, I'll wait till the segment, but.
Yeah. Yeah, you just wait.
I'm going to wait. I'll hold my horses.
Just wait.
I'll hold my horse meds.
You hold your horse meds?
Yeah, I'll hold my horse dewormers.
And buy now, pay later services are taking off. And Wall Street has been, if you've been watching Wall Street media, which I do, I like to watch all the mainstream media from time to time to just see like what the narratives they're spinning. And it's funny to watch like the business media, like the CNBCs, the Fox Businesses, the Bloombergs, like they're really excited about these buy now, pay later services. Like put your stuff on layaway, get it for free. Turns out Americans can't pay the bills, and unemployment benefits have been eroded now for millions of Americans. But hey, Wall Street's happy about these buy now, pay later services. So we will talk.
You want to see a stark contrast to news? Like, watch American mainstream media, right? Watch American mainstream media, and then go watch a channel like RT News. Now, I know that's Russia television, but go watch the stark difference in the journalism and reporting from that channel to the mainstream media. Mm-hmm. It's like, look at the things they talk about and how they talk about them. It's like, if you want to know what the narrative you shouldn't pay attention to is, watch the mainstream media. And again, sometimes they get it right, and they do that intentionally. Sometimes they do a really hard-hitting story that's factual and true, and they've done their research just so that they can say, oh yeah, we're news. We're journalists.
Right. Yeah, what does it mean to be a journalist? Like, they're just regurgitating talking points. I mean, like during the Obama years, it was regurgitated talking points, literally cut and pasted from Obama press releases that CNN was covering, that MSNBC was covering. The same thing is true of Trump press releases. I mean, that's what conservative media just cut and pasting this stuff and going on the air talking about it.
Zachary, this is not a repeat. This is live.
This is live, Zachary. I even changed my shirt. Tay Thomas says, I watched the mainstream media last night after the game and felt like everything was a lie. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, you can find, there are some truthful stories in there, but it's like you have to really, know how to find it. And that's the thing. Like, it's probably, I mean, what would you say the percentage is of good journalism on any channel versus opinion?
I mean, what is, I can't find it. I mean, it's rare. I mean, because even if you think of like the people that are in the White House that are there as White House press journalists, they're there just they're asking a press secretary, and that's how they're getting their news. I think there are very few gumshoe journalists anymore. I mean, there's some good ones. I do know that. I know, look, my old friend Tucker, when he started the Daily Caller, like he specifically wanted people who were investigative journalists, on the ground gumshoe reporting. Long written pieces that were investigative pieces. Say what you will about him or his politics or whatever, but that's the type of people that he wanted employed, were these long, thoughtful, investigative journalism pieces, okay? Literally going to the location and getting a story. That was his philosophy. You have, you have like the Gray Zone, you have...
The Intercept.
The Intercept. You have nationofchange.org does some good journalism. The Canary, which is a UK site, does some really good journalism.
Well, even independents like Glenn Greenwald and what's the girl that we always...
Yeah, Caitlin Johnson.
Caitlin Johnson, yeah.
And, I think Glenn Greenwald is actually a journalist. Caitlin's more of an opinion writer about things, but but she does a good job of gathering sources to contextualize.
And imagine if Hannity or somebody like that did gathering like she did. Yeah, she is an opinion person, but she shares the facts, as she knows them, and then gives her opinion. Whereas you don't really get that. You only get opinion on a lot of these shows.
Aaron Mate. Has been a really amazing journalist on the whole Syria gassing story. I can count. Literally on a few fingers. It's a rare breed.
Yeah.
Kelly Price. She's been really covering the labor strikes. She's been doing a really good job on a lot of the strikes of these like Nabisco plants and others, and the coal miners. So the coal miners in Kentucky who've been striking. They got I think was it Alabama or Kentucky? I think it was Kentucky that were striking. There's no coverage of it. She's been out there. So there's been a few journalists who've been really out there covering this stuff.
Steam Avila, who obviously watches the Young Turk, says, I pay attention to grifters like Tim Pool and Jimmy Dore. That is where David gets his info from. No wonder the dude is so ill-informed about things. You know how many sources I get my info from? I listen to a lot of them. So... it's and Jimmy Dore and Tim Pool are not grifters at all. Not even close.
Yeah, how would you just define a grifter? A lot of people throw these terms around. They throw gaslighting around.
Well, that's because they hear it on Young Turks. Young Turks calls Jimmy Dore a grifter, and so they come out and repeat it. That is the farthest thing from a grifter as you can get.
And aren't the Young Turks? I don't know enough about them. I don't watch them. I hear the complaints about them, and I see them trying to defend themselves about them. But they've really moved towards the middle on a lot of issues. When we talk about progressive issues like Medicare for all. They totally went along with the corporate Democratic philosophy on that rather than the progressive stance on that.
Well, and they tout, unions and stuff, and Jank himself got ticked off when they tried to form a union at his own company.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk.
See, a lot of people are saying Jimmy Dore is a grifter. He is not a grifter.
Hey, you got your opinions. I don't know, why would you? I'm just curious when someone says Phil in our chat says Jimmy Dore is a grifter, and then Robert says TYT Young Turks are trash like Bill Maher. So you have a lot of different opinions here. But
but the true definition, Jimmy is telling his truth. You know what I mean? It's not like grifters, like he's trying to swindle people. He's not trying to swindle people anything. He just reports the news. He reports the news with his spin on it.
And you make them, so as a grifter, you make your money, you sort of align yourself with, with certain opinions so that you can make money off of it, right? Where you're really not, you really don't believe that.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
to be honest with you, when I flip through, sometimes I watch some Young Turk stuff and I think they do a good job on some issues.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's why I don't have any source where I'm just I'll listen to most of them, but then some of them I'm just I can't even stand to listen to them because all they do is spout one side. Their flag is so deeply planted in one side that they don't have any room to move to the middle or anything. So.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. Twisted Sister says, we're not going to take it. Mark Olson, TYT sucks. Yeah, sucks. You know what? Rita says, I like the Young Turks. See?
Yeah. And you're welcome to.
Yeah. All right, let's get uncomfortable, everyone. It's time to start the show, shall we? So here's what's coming up on the show today. Biden issues a stunning vaccine mandate. Why did he suddenly change his mind? We'll try to unpack this. The liberal media is happy about this. Conservative media is pretending to be outraged about this. But I think they're secretly happy about it as well. I'll tell you why I think that.
And we need to go members only.
Oh, yeah.
We were going to leave it open on Fridays, but that just doesn't work. Like we don't have mods, so it's impossible for me to mod the chat. So
yeah.
So if you want to become a member, just head to this URL right here, morninginvest.com/join, and become a member for as low as $1.99 a month. And you can chat and get access to our behind the scenes videos and live streams. So we're going into members only mode in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, so now we are into members only chat mode. So thank you so much. We appreciate all of the support of the show. If you'd like to become a member, you can, again, by going to morninginvest.com/join. So again, we're talking about the Biden mandate on vaccines this morning. Again, why he changed his mind. We're going to talk about the mainstream media, why they are ignoring Dr. Fauci's lies before Congress. There's really no coverage of it. And they try to spin it as Rand Paul, is asking crazy questions of Dr. Fauci. Can't handle it. And by the way, I saw he was on CNN again last night, and they didn't ask him about it. Like they just want to have him go on there and talk about the people that are anti-vaccination. That's all they want him for. That's all what CNN wants him on the air right now. Just come on and bash people who are against the vaccine mandate.
And talking about football stadiums.
Yeah, let's talk about football stadiums and college football and baseball stadiums. That's why we want you to come on. So we'll talk about that. We're also talking about these buy now, pay later services are taking off. Wall Street's excited about it. I've seen all the business news media. The CNN, CNBCs of the world, the Fox businesses, the Bloombergs. They're excited about these buy now, pay later services. They're like the darlings of Wall Street right now. But are they good for Americans? I mean, we literally have millions of people that are losing their unemployment benefits, still millions out of work. And turns out the data shows that millions of Americans are unable to make these payments on these buy now, pay later services. So why is Wall Street so excited about them? We'll talk about that. We got a lot to get to this morning. Let's get uncomfortable. Morning Invest starts right now. All right, it is Friday. We've got pet photos on the show today too. So we'll end on a high note today, shall we? We'll end on a high note. But let's start this morning with the Biden mask and vaccine mandate. So this was the front page of the New York Times this morning. Biden issues sweeping mandates for shots. It's interesting. President Biden, what changed in all of this? Just remember a few short months ago, here was President Biden, then President-elect Biden, asked a direct question about mask mandates and vaccine mandates, and here's what he said.
Be mandatory?
No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything in my power. Just like I don't think masks have to be made mandatory nationwide. I'll do everything in my power as the President of the United States to encourage people to do the right thing, and when they do it, demonstrate that it matters.
So what happened?
Have you ever seen the clip where, Pelosi and all these people are saying you can't mandate, you'll never be able to mandate it. Like it just won't work in this country. There's a whole compilation video somebody made.
And maybe they're right and maybe they're wrong. I mean, all you need to do is go back to 1905 when we did this in the United States, and it's actually in the Supreme Court, Jacobson v. Massachusetts, 1905. What was this? This was around the smallpox vaccine, and it established under the Supreme Court that, yes, states could make it compulsory to get vaccinations under smallpox. But we've never had this at the federal level. So the states The Supreme Court says, yes, at the state level, you can do this. But he didn't try to do this at the federal level through in a traditional sense, mandating it at a federal level. What he did was he's bringing in OSHA, the Emergency Temporary Standards Code under OSHA, to use this. So President Biden put together rules in place requiring vaccinations in the workplace on Thursday. This new plan includes all federal workers to be vaccinated, as well as all employees of companies with 100 or more people. Businesses that do not comply will face fines up to $14,000 per violation. The administration is using OSHA's Emergency Temporary Standards Code, which allows a rule to go into place immediately if, quote, workers are in grave danger due to exposure to toxic substances or agents determined to be toxic or physically harmful or to new hazards, end quote. The administration considers that rising COVID cases in many states qualifies for this toxic exposure or agents determined to be toxic or physically harm to, or new hazards that you're facing.
Well, let me ask you a question, because this feels a lot like Afghanistan and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, we're getting ready to declare war on the pandemic, basically declare war on the pandemic. But what is the goal? Because if the vaccine is not proving to stop the spread, if the only thing it's proving to do is stop you from dying or stop you from getting extremely sick, then what is the goal? How do we win this war?
Well, it's a great question, right? So that's the headline, right? These are the headlines. Now this is the headline. Biden issues sweeping mandates for shots. So now let's try to go beyond the headline here on this, to David's point. What about herd immunity? What about antibodies? Why is there zero discussion about people who've had COVID who are showing way higher levels of antibodies than those who had a shot, right? Is there any protocol for these people to come forward and say, can I provide a blood test that shows that I have the antibodies requisite for me to keep my job here? No, there's nothing. That's totally left out of this argument. So if antibodies are now totally removed from this argument, then why? Like, to your point, what is the goal? And I have to think, this is maybe me being cynical, but I've been around politics for way too long, and I know how this government works. And at the heart of it, remember that our government is a corporatocracy. It's run by business. And you had a big Wall Street roundtable of business leaders who have been meeting with the president, who have all signed off on this. So all of these corporate CEOs want this. Why do they want this? Profit. They're in this weird vortex right now of returning to the office or not. And they have this sort of weird transition period and it falls on these CEOs now to sort of mandate at the business level whether or not you work here. They could open them up to lawsuits, et cetera, if they ask their employees to be mandated vaccines. President of the United States now puts in place this OSHA recommendation, which basically gives these companies cover. It protects them now. It gives them like an umbrella to say, well, the President of the United States, we're going to get OSHA violations. We've got to mandate this vaccine if you want to work here. And it's all about corporate profit. Because if this is about stopping the spread, what data is there that having the vaccine stops the spread of this virus? Where is it? Even just doing a cursory Google search. I implore you to go to Google and just even do a simple little Google search. Oh, why is that not showing up? Where it says, does COVID vaccine contain the virus? Just do a little simple Google search around that and see if the COVID vaccine actually protects the virus or protects the spread of the virus.
I've actually seen interviews that are saying that, that the vaccine doesn't even create antibodies. So if you watch the discussion from the beginning, that's what Fauci from the very beginning said. We got to get antibodies. The goal is to get to herd immunity, and you do that by getting antibodies so that the virus stops spreading. But that's not what's happening with the vaccines. We're seeing different variants and everything. It's not happening. And somebody in the chat was mentioning today that there's clinical trials that are in the third level of clinical trials for some kind of spray or something that's having a lot of results over in Europe, and asking why isn't that stuff coming over here? It's because in this country, it's all about the money. They don't actually want to stop it because then the money train goes away. That's what it feels like. I'm not saying that that's the truth. I'm saying that if you look at it from just from what is the word I'm thinking of? Just look at it from like the very beginning till now, the narrative, what they've been saying versus what they're doing, and it just feels like it's 100% profit motivated.
Come on, man.
Why the flip-flop? You know, why the flip-flop from when just a few months ago we don't need mandates? When we were in that dark period, remember how bad it was in December of 2020? Remember how bad it was? In December is when he said those words. This is when he was in December saying these words.
Be mandatory?
No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything in my power. Just like I don't think masks have to be made mandatory nationwide. I'll do everything in my power as the President of the United States to encourage people to do the right thing, and when they do it, demonstrate that it matters.
Okay, so what changed? Again, what changed? Now you have, and you know, what's amazing is you have people out there like that are basically saying, hey, if you don't have a vaccine, then you should basically die. Like, we shouldn't provide you health care. Like, if you don't get the vaccine because you don't want something shoved in your body because the government is telling you have to do it, you should be left behind. Like, if you go to the hospital, you shouldn't get coverage and you should be left to die. Jimmy Kimmel, I was stunned to see this from Jimmy Kimmel. Maybe not. I mean, but let me put this in context here. You remember Jimmy Kimmel a few years ago? Like, I was a big advocate of Jimmy Kimmel going out there trying to push for basically universal health care coverage for people. Remember when he had his son who was in the hospital and nearly died? And his son, he was able to get great care. I think it was like at Mount Sinai in Los Angeles, and saved his son's life, his little baby, right? And had all of this amazing coverage because he's rich. And so he said, it's not right that because I'm wealthy, I get good coverage, when other Americans who are literally losing their children, who are at the same hospital, they don't have this, or at different hospitals, but they don't have the same access to money like I do. That's why we should support. And he was really pushing hard for Obamacare. I remember we had him on the air, interviews with him at the time, pushing for this. And it was a heartfelt reason, right? Good. Universal health care. We should all have it, right? This shouldn't be something that's only for wealthy people. That's why I've been a big advocate for socialized medicine in the United States. Let's everyone have this. But here he is last night yucking it up on his show, basically saying, if you don't have the vaccine, you refuse the vaccine, and then suddenly you get sick and are dying, hospitals should just turn you away.
The number of new cases is up more than 300% from a year ago. Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy.
And people applaud that.
Right.
And you can see it in the chat. Like, people are so like adamant about the vaccine, and like, you got to get the vaccine, or we hope you die, or your information is correct. Go ahead, go take your horse medicine, you're going to kill everybody and everything. But the virus is not stopping the spread, and it has nothing to do with the variants. Nothing at all to do with the variants. The variants are coming because the Wuhan lab created an unstable virus. It was created in a lab, and it's unstable, and that's why it is creating different forms. And we don't know what forms it's going to take. But obviously, the vaccines are not helping. I mean, and I know that you talked about the Israeli data and stuff, but that data is there's a lot of fact to it. Like that people are running out of the vaccine after about 6 months and are going into the hospital and are getting sick and are dying.
Well, let's even unpack this Jimmy Kimmel thing a little bit more. Like Bullish Brooke in our chat, Brooke says, "Yeah, really disappointing in Jimmy." Yeah, let's just applaud these people. Let's just applaud that these people get COVID and they don't want to have they don't want to have a vaccine because of the, first of all, that a government tells them to. They're going to stick this in their body. Let me just contextualize this. I got the vaccine. I got the J&J vaccine. Why did I get it? Because at the time we were told that this would stop the spread. Right? That's why it's one of the two reasons that I got it was both to keep myself from dying. Okay. That's one reason, which is a good reason, right? And if you don't want to get the vaccine and you would rather take the risk of dying, that's up to you, right? But the second reason I got the vaccine was to prevent the spread of the virus. We were told that that was the case, weren't we? Guess what? No data to support that. And now we know we're being told that it doesn't stop the spread of the virus if you get it, if you have the vaccine. So then what's the point of mandating it at government offices and for businesses with 100 more employees? What is the thought process here? It's profit. But let me just unpack this Jimmy Kimmel thing a little bit more here because I think let me just play it again just so you can hear the crassness about it. And then I want to unpack this.
The number of new cases is up more than 300% from a year ago. Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Rest in peace, Wheezy. So what about an alcoholic who suddenly has an emergency because they've been drinking themselves into a stupor and they rush, now they need an ICU bed,
or a heroin addict,
or a heroin addict, or
somebody
a heart
who
disease.
decides they're going to parachute off out of a plane, or somebody who wants to go cliff diving.
What about someone who knows that processed food is awful for you and continues to eat cheese balls that they buy at Walmart every day and now has heart disease and has a heart attack and is rushed to the hospital? They continue to gorge themselves on crap. There's enough information about that out there. So is someone who decides not to put this vaccine in their body somehow worth less than the person who is 300 pounds overweight and eats cheese balls every day? I'm throwing it out there as a question.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. And look at how they, like when Joe Rogan, because people are saying he took a horse dewormer, which is not true. He took a human drug, and actually ivermectin won a Nobel Peace Prize. It is a human drug. It's used for like
Nobel Prize, right? They can't win a Peace Prize. Right?
I mean Nobel Prize. Yeah, sorry, Nobel Prize. But like people on Twitter were demanding, like, hoping he dies. Like, I hope he dies. I wish he would die. And it's like, what? Why? Because he survived without the vaccine? Because he doesn't fit your narrative? Because he's not planted his flag on the same side of this vaccine that you have? People just assume that if somebody doesn't want the vaccine, that they're anti-vax, which is not true. We just want more data. And the data is not showing us why we should take it. It doesn't stop the spread. It's not keeping people out of the hospitals. So, what's the point?
Katie Will Go says, I will not stop eating my cheese balls. Cheese balls are good, I will say. But, I don't think that's real food. I'm just going to go out on a limb. Like, actually, I'm trying to see if I can grow a cheese ball tree in my backyard. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like a pear tree, just go out and be like, crunch. Honey, you got to go out and prune the cheese ball tree. And then why are people being exempt from this? According to officials, sources saying White House officials tell me that the United States Postal Service workers are not included in President Biden's vaccine requirement. But we strongly encourage them to comply with these standards. That's a massive chunk of the federal workforce, 644,000 and growing. That's not required to be vaccinated. Why are certain groups left out of this? Are any of you members of the federal workforce? Anybody here a member of the Postal Service? Why are you? Let me know in the chat. Like, are you not allowed, or are you being told that you don't have to get the vaccine? Like, are you exempt from this? And the real question comes down to, Joe Biden is supposed to be the most pro-labor president, right? That's what he's told us, right? Is it labor groups that are now coming forward saying, wait a second, and is it the postal workers union saying, hey, wait a second, you're not going to mandate us to do this. You're not going to mandate us to do this. It's interesting to see also how they're basically going about this, using this OSHA rule, which even Ron Klain, White House Chief of Staff, retweeted a tweet yesterday, which shows by Stephanie Rule from MSNBC. Stephanie Rule tweeted that this is basically like a workaround using OSHA. It basically uses OSHA to compel corporations to make it mandatory. So the federal government technically gets off the hook here. And by the way, how is OSHA going to enforce this? Let's just be practical here. OSHA is going to fine you $14,000 per violation. What is OSHA going to do? Is OSHA suddenly going to receive billions of dollars in funding? It's a small government entity. Are they going to suddenly become like going door to door, like stormtrooper style, checking to see if your vaccinations are in place?
Well, this is like, so the CDC now has the power to do eviction moratoriums, and now OSHA has the power to enforce vaccine mandates? Like, what the hell is going on?
I don't know.
This is like a huge expansion of power in so many different ways.
I heard a really compelling argument about this from a professor. I'm going to play this, and I want to get your take on this. What you guys think about this? There's 3 parts to this video. I'm going to play all 3 parts. I want you to watch this professor. She's a professor of ethics in Canada. She was told that she has to get a vaccine in order to return to school. She's been there 20 years. This is a really compelling argument that she makes. I want to play it and get your take on it. Here she is.
My name is Julie Panesi, and this message is about mandatory vaccinations. I am a professor of ethics at Huron College at the University of Western Ontario. It's one of the largest universities in Canada. Today, I'm going to teach you a short lesson on the universally accepted ethics of coercing people into medical procedures. I'll be the example. My employer has just mandated that I must get a vaccine for COVID-19. If I want to keep working at my job as a professor, I have to take this vaccine. Here's my conundrum. My school employs me to be an authority on the subject of ethics. I hold a PhD in ethics and ancient philosophy. And I'm here to tell you it's ethically wrong to coerce someone to take a vaccine. If it happens to you, you don't have to do it. If you don't want a COVID vaccine, don't take one. End of discussion. It's your own business. But that is not the approach of the University of Western Ontario, which has suddenly required that I be vaccinated immediately or not report for work. So with the school year beginning in a few days, I am facing imminent dismissal after 20 years on the job, because I will not submit to having an experimental vaccine injected into my body. I've had plenty of vaccines in my life, but I've never been forced to take one. It's always been my choice. I don't work in a high-risk environment. I'm not a doctor in an emergency room. I'm a teacher. I'm a university professor. My job is to teach students how to think critically, to ask questions that might expose a false argument. Questions like, says who? Who is the authority giving this order? Should I?
Here's the second part.
Should I trust them with control over my body? As a professor, I don't have to watch the news to find out if the COVID vaccines are safe. I read medical journals, and I consult my colleagues who are professors of science and medicine. I've learned from doctors that there are serious questions about how safe these vaccines really are. There are questions about how well they work. Nobody's promising that I won't get COVID or transmit COVID if I get the vaccine. But ultimately, none of that matters to me because I'm a professor of ethics and I'm a Canadian. I'm entitled to make choices about what does and does not enter my body, regardless of my reasons. If I'm allowed back into my university, it's my job to teach my students that this is wrong. I'm hired to teach them that it is ethically wrong to impose an experimental medical procedure as a condition of employment. This is my first and potentially my last lesson of the year. Ethics 101. In the spirit of Socrates, who was executed for asking questions, this lesson will consist of only one question. The answer is multiple choice. Please listen carefully. When a person has done the same job to the satisfaction of her employer for 20 years, is it right or is it wrong to suddenly demand that they submit to an unnecessary medical procedure in order to keep their job? In this case, the procedure is an injection of a substance that has not been fully tested for safety. It has not yet been shown to be effective. It is designed to prevent an illness that poses little threat to the employee. The employee is not allowed to ask questions. She may only submit to the procedure or be fired. To my first-year students, is this right or is this wrong? I already know the answer.
That was amazing, Julie.
Sorry. Sorry.
So I just want to throw it out there. I thought she put it was a very compelling argument, right? I see someone in the chat saying, yes, but if it keeps that person from infecting other people. Yes, great point, Karen. Exactly.
If it did.
If it did.
It doesn't.
And that's the problem, right? So that's the crux of the problem. So
Look,
then why?
That's the thing. If there was more data, right? So people assume that I'm anti-vax. I'm not. If there were more data and it showed, like if there's a global pandemic, if from the very beginning, this country would have acted like there was a global pandemic and they would have helped the people, they would have helped other countries, they would have got together with scientists around the world and they would have found a solution to help get rid of a global pandemic instead of lying about how it originated, not caring about how it originated, and then coming out with all of this information on masks that wasn't true, and then the CDC changing information on a weekly basis, the WHO getting it wrong, podcasters getting banned because they're talking about certain things, and then those things turned out to actually be true, and the mainstream data was wrong. It's like, it's been so, like, why would anybody be so adamant about telling people that they need to get vaccinated when there's zero proof that it is doing anything? So you're planting a flag and you're saying this is how it is. You need to get vaccinated because why? Give me a good reason why people should get vaccinated. If it doesn't stop the spread and it doesn't keep you from getting sick, maybe it keeps you from dying. Okay, if that's all it does, is keeps you from dying and maybe doesn't use up hotel or hospital resources, that's a very small argument, but it's still my choice if I want to do that. Just like it's my choice if I want to go cliff diving. Just like if it's my choice if I want to eat McDonald's every single day and waste a hospital bed because of my poor choices. It's no different.
You know, you have to, and that's the thing. We were told, of course, that this was going to prevent the spread, right? It's one of the compelling reasons why I'm getting the vaccine to not just protect myself. I'm doing it to protect my elderly neighbor. Right? That's what we were told. So there's been quite a back and forth on this on Twitter about this one. Chuck says, the same argument was used for slavery and other civil rights. Why am I not surprised by this woman? Number 2, nobody knows the long-term effects. It's not possible to know yet about the vaccine. Number 3, look at Israel. Number 4, wrong. No data shows that. To which others responded, that's a false equivalency, comparing this to civil rights and slavery. Number 2, no non-live vaccine has ever had effects seen after 6 to 8 weeks after vaccination. Number 3, Israel's data actually shows the vaccines are working well. Number 4, schools and universities have shown to be high-risk environments. So back and forth. Here's another one. It says, Professor Ponesse doesn't acknowledge that her job in class involves vocalizing in a way known to emit aerosols capable of transmitting disease to many students. She asserts entitlement to risk importing a workplace hazard because her body is the carrier. And there's data on this as well. Wish I could pull it up on my screen, but my capture is not allowing me to pull this up today. I don't know why. It's driving me nuts. On my laptop screen, I can't bring it up for some reason. But there's a U.S. News and World Report article that's sitting here in front of me. You'll have to take my word for it. That talks about an unvaccinated teacher infecting half of the students in a classroom, according to a CDC study in California. It occurred in Marin County in May and involved an unvaccinated elementary school teacher infected with the Delta variant, who then infected half of her classroom. They found that those who were sitting in the front row had 80%. All of them had COVID as a result. The first 2 rows was 80%, and then it tapered as it went back. And it was an overwhelming number of students in this class. So, but again, if she'd been vaccinated, would it be any different? That's the heart of the question, right? If she had been vaccinated, would it change anything? Because we know it's just as transmissible.
Politically, it would.
Right. That's true. Right. Politically, she'd be like, she could go out to dinner. She could go to the movies. She could show her vaccination card. I'm just struck by this, right? When we go out to dinner here, if it's after 7:30, you have to pull out your QR code from your vaccine card that I have in my digital wallet and show it to them. They scan it like, you're good to go. But what does that mean? What does that do? What they should do, if they really want to have a safe environment, is test me right there on the spot. Test me. See if I have COVID right now, because what does the vaccine matter? I see people in the chat saying, yeah, my son had vaccine and he's gotten COVID twice since then. So what does it do? What does it mean?
Well, and I was watching a piece yesterday where it's like we've had vaccines that we've had out in the past, and you look at the death rate of these vaccines, and one vaccine, and I can't remember what it was for, had 52 people die. And so after 52 people died during the launch of it, they pulled it from the market. They pulled it completely off. They're like, okay, we can't do this. And there have been, if you just go by the VAERS data, there's been about 6,000 people that have died from this vaccine. Okay.
But to be clear, that data is as of July.
Right, as of July, and
they haven't updated it since then.
No, and they have a history of not getting it right anyway. Their history is not good. So let's say it is only 6,000. That is more than have died from all vaccines in history combined, and they still have it on the market. And they don't tell you that. You don't go to sit down with your doctor and think, okay, I'm going to get this vaccine. Like, am I good? Oh yeah, it's safe, totally safe. So there's no adverse effects? No. I mean, what they should be saying is, well, there have been reported about 6,000 deaths and about 300 to 600,000 adverse, like serious reactions. And I'm talking serious reactions. Some people have had reactions that they are still dealing with today, and nobody's talking about that. So they don't let you know that. You're not being informed of this stuff. You're just supposed to be a good little American and jab it in your arm, no questions asked. And that's what they're now expecting these employees to do to keep their jobs. There are too many questions. There's too much data that's missing, and they're not informing people of the truth of this. And so you're just supposed to blindly follow. And I'm not doing that. And I don't understand why they think they're going to get away with mandating this when there's not enough data to show that it's safe.
Well, and now they're going to be pushing for children vaccinations, and they're fast tracking this. California, Los Angeles County this morning, this is mandating now for kids to get vaccinated. So, and a lot of people asking in the chat, well, this teacher, I'll just read through this story to give you the update here. All the students were too young for vaccinations. They were elementary school kids, but 26 kids in this class ended up getting sick as a result of this teacher that she took off, like she wasn't wearing a mask when she was reading aloud to the students. It doesn't say if the kids had masks on. I'm trying to see if the kids had masks on, but it doesn't. In the school, at the school during this time, the teacher read aloud without a mask to a class of these students, despite rules requiring both teachers and students to wear masks indoors. All the students were too young, and I don't know. It doesn't say, according to this piece, whether or not these kids had masks on, which would be a good, important piece of the story to know, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, and Karen Kimball is asking David, okay, then what is the alternative then? That's the whole point. The point is we don't know the alternative because we can't even have the discussion. If the vaccines are not working, then global scientists should be getting together and fighting this together and figuring out what do we do? What is the solution? But we can't even talk about a different solution. We can't talk about ivermectin. We can't talk about anything that's a possible solution because everybody has been programmed to think that the vaccines are the only way. When Joe Rogan proved that it's not.
You know, and again, I come back to, we should be having frank discussions about antibodies. Why are we not allowed to talk about this? Why are we not allowed to talk about if you've had COVID before? The antibody levels are through the roof if you've had it personally, which might be way more effective than vaccine. Can we get some data on that? Let's study that. What about this ivermectin thing? You know, is it, the mainstream media wants to paint it as horse
dewormer.
paste, right? Yeah, horse dewormer. And they'd rather talk about that, right? What about some of the other natural remedies out there? If these, and you have the head of Pfizer the other day admitting that they made the vaccine pretty weak because they didn't want to have side effects. Okay, well, what if you didn't make it weak? Would it prevent transmission? And also, if President Biden is going to mandate vaccines at the federal level and with companies that are over 100 employees through OSHA, then why are you also not allowing the Moderna vaccine, as we reported yesterday on the show, to be released to the rest of the world if it works so well? Because of money, right? Because of money, because of the contract with Moderna, and because you've contracted so that they have the patent rights. We cannot release it to the rest of the world. If we're so concerned about helping people and stopping the spread of this, remember about 75% of Americans are now vaccinated. And now we're seeing a 300% increase in COVID cases. So that should tell you something, shouldn't it? We're asking the tough questions here because the mainstream media won't ask them.
Well, you're
being told a narrative. You're being spoon-fed a narrative.
What were we told at the beginning? Everybody has to get vaccinated. Why? Why did everybody have to
stop the spread?
Right, to stop the spread.
But now we change
the spread.
No.
So we move the goalpost. So how many times are we going to keep moving the goalpost before people understand that people like me are not anti-vaxxers? We are just people who are asking, what is the truth? What is the information? I'm not going to put something in my body that has the adverse effect percentage that it does. I'm not going to be collateral damage when all it's going to do is potentially prevent me from dying. If I choose to die because I don't want a vaccine, that's fine. And people can judge me all they want. But everybody just assumes that everybody who's talking like me is an anti-vaxxer, and we're not.
But David, Brian Stelter over at CNN says that you're to blame. He says that unvaccinated minority that doesn't watch the news or trust the news is putting the vaccinated majority at undue risk.
How?
There's no way around that reality, Brian says.
Okay, how? Brian,
You're cracking me up.
How are the unvaccinated putting the vaccinated at risk? If the vaccine keeps you from dying and keeps you from getting sick, but doesn't stop the spread, how am I, not being vaccinated, how am I affecting them at all?
No. His point is you need to watch fake media. You need to watch CNN. If you don't watch CNN, that's why you're not getting vaccinated. You haven't been spoon-fed the mainstream media narrative.
Well, the only time I watch mainstream is so that I have somewhat of an idea what the establishment is thinking. And you turn mainstream media on for 5 minutes and it's still all about Afghanistan.
You're cracking me up.
So he follows that tweet up with, when a writer or an anchor makes a heartfelt comment about the importance of getting vaccinated. Are any unvaxxed adults listening? I doubt it. The average news junkie was vaccinated months ago. The holdouts are not watching CNN or reading the New York Times.
No crap.
You're cracking me up.
Yeah, because you've been spoon-fed. Like, I guess, like you're certainly not watching CNN. You're actually getting information from people who, other than Dr. Fauci, who are lying to the American public.
Well, and to Lisa's comment, my whole reason for getting the vaccine was keeping me from dying or getting very sick and protecting the people who can't get the vax. Okay, so yes, there are a lot of people in this country who can't get the vaccination, but guess what? Those people will still be mandated. There is no opt-out. If you go to New York where they're mandating it right now, there's no way for you to opt out because your doctor says you can't get it. You already have antibodies. There's no way out of it. So that shouldn't matter either, because even if you're vaccinated, you're still going to spread that to people who can't get the vaccination. Even if you're vaccinated, you still can spread it to those people. So tell me why then the
again,
vaccine
that's the
matters.
reason I got vaccinated. I mean, I have to say more than my own health was so that I didn't spread it to my kids, and that I didn't spread it to their teachers, and I didn't spread it to we have some elderly neighbors. I didn't want to, spread it to them if I got sick. I don't leave the house, so I don't even know what I was worried about to begin with. But literally, I haven't left the house in like 3 days. It's glorious. But now we know that doesn't matter. So we keep hearing these arguments. Like, I saw friends of mine for years, like on Twitter, that are like, they're like, I'm really digging this president. This president, that's gonna really, it's gonna really end this pandemic. I'm really digging this guy. Biden issues sweeping mandates for shots. I'm really digging it.
Well, and also it's like, when did this happen? Like, remember when everything first started, it's like it didn't affect kids. Like, kids were safe and everything. But now it's like, all of a sudden, now we got to vaccinate all the kids. Now we got to get all the kids. Like, why does this goalpost keep moving when there's no evidence whatsoever that it's killing kids? There's just so much information, like there's too many unanswered questions. And if you can't even ask the questions without people freaking out on you.
Well, I have some people here in the chat saying, or one person, I think Amy was saying, or Kim was saying, Dr. Fauci didn't lie. Well, we're going to get to that segment here in a moment, Kim. So just wait, hold your horses, hold your horse paste, okay? And we'll get there, and then I'm going to lay it out the evidence for you, and then you decide whether or not he's lying. That's why I put a question mark there. Is Fauci lying? But first, so we got way more news to get here. So do not go anywhere, or I will come to your house and eat all your cookies and eat all your cheese balls. Don't go anywhere. In fact, while you're sitting there waiting, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor. But while you're sitting there waiting, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Okay, hit the subscribe button, and then also smash the like button. Because we are the only morning show that's not paid for by billionaire corporations. We will tell you the truth, and we have no agenda here. Unlike shows that call themselves No Agenda on Fox that actually have an agenda.
You're cracking me up.
Laura Logan's show. I mean, I love that. Or reliable. We're reliable sources.
You're cracking me up.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. I want to tell you about our friends over at Podium. Podium is a really fantastic service. A lot of people right now are looking at ways to increase their business. And one way to do that is to be able to text your business to your customers. Your customers have grown to expect a simpler way of doing business, no matter what your product. And I have to say, I have a dentist this morning who was confirming my dental cleaning appointment on Monday after the show, and they did it via text message. That's how Podium works. All your employees can text from a single inbox. They offer a smoother experience for your customers. Answering questions, send a text. Collecting reviews for your business, send a text message. Schedule an appointment, send a text. That's how it works. For instance, a car dealership, just sold a $50,000 truck over 4 text messages with one of their customers. Dealerships are running profitable service centers with easier appointments and scheduling and reminders. Retailers can do this. Even with stores open, many people still want to shop from home. A jeweler just sold a $5,000 ring with a few text messages and even coordinated curbside pickup. So you can get started for free today. Try podium.com/invest. Today's customers expect on-demand everything, even from local businesses. Stay ahead of the competition with Podium. They have free plans for growing your business, plus all the power growing businesses need to scale. My sister is opening a business. I'm super excited about it, and I've been telling her she's got to try Podium. She's starting a reusable bottle business, so people can bring in their reusable like detergent and things instead of waste, eliminating plastics. And so she's got to use Podium. Podium.com/invest is how you get started today. Podium.com/invest. Our thanks to them. See, I promised you it'd be short, but hey, did you guys, hope you guys, while you were waiting, smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. Did you? Did you? Did you? I hope you did. Let me know. Smash it. Smash it. All right, this story really bothers me. Women, pay attention. And men, you should be just as outraged by this. So let's talk about women and the vaccine. Why is the mainstream media ignoring this big piece of it? I'll tell you why they're ignoring this story. Well, no, I'm not going to put the cart before the horse. I won't lead the witness. I want you to tell me why we're not hearing more about this story in the mainstream media. So, the medical establishment is ignoring women and reports about menstrual disruption as a result of taking the vaccine. There's been rising reports of the vaccine-related menstrual disruptions. Now, you want to get uncomfortable? This is an uncomfortable subject to talk about on the show, isn't it? Well, we're talking about it. The CDC and the FDA are dismissing, ignoring it, women's concerns, and denying them information while corporate media pathologizes them in like a real sexist fashion. So, August 11th, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control overhauled its website guidance for pregnant women. It's now urging them to accept their shots. Just 23% of pregnant women in the U.S. have received one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Only something like 11% have been fully vaccinated. The CDC is trying to drive these numbers up, but it's not doing the one thing that would perhaps more than anything else like help get rid of these hesitations around vaccination, around these so-called anti-vaxxers, which would be to investigate and explain all of these reports about this menstrual disruption post-COVID-19. Why? Why aren't they warning about it? Why have any of you, if it's just uncomfortable to talk about, then, you know, I'm sorry, go watch C-SPAN or something. Go watch CNN, where they'll lie to you on a regular basis. Have any of you experienced this? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat if any of you have experienced this after getting the shot. According to reports, females who, after receiving COVID-19 vaccines, experienced disruption in their menstrual cycles. Their symptoms have included hemorrhagic bleeding lasting longer than a month, heavy intermittent bleeding for 4 months. They've passed golf ball-sized clots of blood with extreme cramping, serious enough to land a number of women in the emergency room. Most of these women are in their 20s and 30s, by the way. So they're not old. They're not immunocompromised. At least one of them thinks that she may want to have children. She now worries that her symptoms might have been a harbinger of long-term fertility problems.
Putting my conspiracy theorist hat on, maybe this is population control. I mean, that's what a lot of people would gather from that information.
That, yeah.
It was created in a lab, after all.
So even though the menstruation is sometimes called the sixth vital sign and directly implicates fertility, the fact that women on overall average suffer higher rates of adverse reaction to vaccines of all sorts and medication in general, the effects of COVID vaccines on women, healthy specifically, including this menstrual cycle, were not studied as part of the emergency use authorization process. It was not part of the study. Impacts on menstrual cycles are, it turns out, very rare in vaccine trials. Isn't that surprising? Very rare, but not in this one. Apparently, the COVID data for men is better than women. the COVID vaccine data is better for men. Yet across the country, vaccine mandates make no sex distinction and in practicality actually fall more heavily on the majority in women's studies. In this way, it could be argued women are not being treated equally under the U.S. law, reports the Gray Zone. And now, here's the problem I have. Again, this is like this keeping this quiet. Why is the mainstream media not talking about this? Why is there no reporting about it? Why don't I see any segments on TV asking Dr. Scott Gottlieb or anybody these doctors that come on television, asking them this question? Like, here's the segment. We're hearing reports that women are having adverse reactions to the vaccine, and it's altering menstrual cycles. Let's do a segment on that. No, we don't. They don't touch it. Well, hands off. We don't touch it. FDA press office won't talk about it. The CDC are not even acknowledging it. And after some back and forth, FDA is responding with an official statement with a boilerplate, basically saying that that such reports have been investigated and dismissed. Okay. Where do you guys come down on this? Is anyone in our chat experienced this? Does anyone have friends that have experienced this, or that they would even admit to it? But anyway, the CDC, the FDA, and the mainstream media think that it's not worth talking about.
And you can absolutely hate Ron Johnson as a senator all you want, but he is the only senator that's tried to bring a voice to the people that are having these adverse effects. He had a panel and stuff of people talking about the now long-term effects, like and life-changing, debilitating effects that this has had on some people. And the thing is, if any woman were to say, I got this, it's like, well, you know what? We've given out this many vaccines, your collateral damage, there's going to be some deaths. There's going to be some people who have very serious side effects. Sorry, you're just collateral damage in the war on COVID. There's nothing we can do. Sorry. There may be safer methods out there, but we're not going to research that. We're just going to push these vaccines and stop it there. It's like, why has the research stopped? Why aren't other companies coming forward and saying, hey, we've been working on this thing that we found this or whatever? No, it stops with these 3 vaccines that are proving not to do what they said they were going to do. So that's where we stop now. And if you question it, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're anti-vax.
It's money. Arlene says, I heard about it from some people. TJ says, my wife had her heart stop after getting vaccinated. Francis says, not me, but someone close to me had to have their ovary removed, and the doctor didn't know why. Frederick says, it's because they want to scare you to get the vaccine, not scare you to not get it. Everyone is getting kickbacks from the big pharma, and they pay for the mainstream media. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Frederick. As we've been pointing out on this show, imagine the amount of money that would dry up from mainstream media if they suddenly stopped running pharmaceutical ads all day. You know, but the people that watch those networks, by the way, the people that watch Fox, MSNBC, they skew older, much older. And they're perfectly primed to receive pharmaceutical advertising all day. So what happens if suddenly mainstream media starts saying these drugs can't be trusted, or questioning, not even not trusted, but at least questioning or doing segments around it? You get to be getting phone calls from the CEOs of these companies saying, you know what, we were going to run a whole fall spot of this new drug that we have coming up. We decided that we saw that you're doing some your segments about Pfizer lately. We're going to pull our ads.
So Casey is saying, so if vaccines don't work and masks don't work, then what are we supposed to do to get COVID under control? I can't accept that thousands of people dying every week from a virus is the new norm. And I'm with you 100%. And that's the thing. We're trying to find a solution, but you can't even question it. You can't even talk about maybe an alternative. It's just like the cancer industry. If you talk about there's a doctor in Dallas, Texas, who had a way that it was actually curing cancer, and the FDA raided his information, took all of his information from him because Dr. Brzezinski, because there's a lot of these things that it's all about money. There's an infrastructure around these things already established with the vaccines and all that if it goes away, they lose their money. Like if ivermectin, let's say ivermectin does cause you to be sterile or something like that, but it saves lives and you don't get sick and we get the virus under control, would everybody be willing to take it, ivermectin, and become sterile just to get rid of the virus? Would we be willing to do that? No. And so people are arguing that drug because of those little things, but you're having like potentially 6,000 people dead from the current vaccine, 300 to 600,000 serious adverse effects, people becoming sterile, women dealing with these issues, but we can't talk about it. We can't talk about it at all.
And all you need to do is go to their website. Go to the VAERS website, the Adverse Event Reporting System. They have thousands of reports on the CDC's own website. Thousands. If you don't believe me, go to the CDC's website and look at the thousands of reports of menstrual disorders tied to COVID-19 vaccines. In fact, the UK has over 4,000 reports on their website. By early July, that agency in the UK had received 13,000 such reports. And similar reports have emerged in Canada and India. But we can't talk about it. We can't talk about it. We can't report this stuff, can we?
No, because you're anti-vax. You're an anti-vax. You haven't planted your flag. You're disagreeing with Dr. Fauci, the czar of medical information.
Remember when they were saying like they were going to give like Dr. Fauci like man of the year or man of the year? Like there was questions about that, or he was like they were having him throw out baseballs. He was like, yeah, man, that's sexy, Dr. Fauci, you know?
Yeah, they celebritized him.
Yeah, I mean, anyway. So again, all I'm saying is, should we not know about this? Should we not have information about this? I mean, by early spring of this year, anecdotal testimonies of sudden, early, disturbingly prolonged, abruptly absent, extremely painful, or unusually heavy and clot-filled menstrual cycles post-COVID-19 vaccination were all over social media. And then thousands of them have now been filed with the CDC. And yet, as someone pointed out in our chat, what if you are going to be fired now at your job because you have concerns about altering your fertility and your menstrual cycle? Like, what if you are already having difficulty getting pregnant? What if you already have fertility issues? Maybe you're trying to take fertility treatment because you want to get pregnant. How will this affect that? Don't ask questions. Just shut up. Just shut up. Don't ask questions. Government's telling you what to do now. Government's telling what to do. We should question everything. Right? And when we have the data, we can make informed decisions. So here's the data on the CDC's website, but it's being kept quiet from us.
To be fair, all of the adverse information is being kept from us. If you think that the women issue is the only stuff that's being kept from us, then you are wrong. Like I said, it's between 300 to 600,000 serious adverse effects. And I'm talking life-changing to where some people can't even... There was I can't remember if she was 13 or 14-year-old girl who's in a wheelchair, an invalid now. And there's people that are getting convulsions. There's a guy they did a segment on RT News of a guy who got it, or whose mom got it, and she ended up with seizing, just going into seizures all the time. And he ended up getting hundreds and hundreds of emails after that segment from people saying, I got the same thing, but nobody hears about it because you can't talk about it. You can't question it. So we're not getting even probably a third of the information that's out there from anybody. And you can't look for it, can't find it. So, like people are asking, what do we do? I don't know what the answer is to what we do, but what we don't do is ridicule people who are just wanting to get questions answered. People who are asking, why is this happening to women? Why are people dying and we're not being told about it? Answer these questions. It's simple.
Val McCoy says in the chat, super chat, thank you, Val, says, when I got the COVID, I had my cycle for 5 days. This is not normal for me. Normally it's only 3. And then after that, for 2 months, I did not have one at all. Gary Soto, thank you for your super chat. Cookie Fat Chick says, hey, but we all sit up here and eat McDonald's and all that BS they sell us at the grocery, but y'all get scared to get a vaccine. I'm done. Don't be done. We need you here. Don't be done. I got the vaccine. I agree with you. I agree. That was my argument earlier. I agree in part, but I think what you're missing is that what we're being told is that this helps other people to get the vaccine, that you're helping other people. You're stopping the spread, and that you should be forced to get this untested. And we now know that that's not the case. And now we have a sweeping mandate from the federal government telling you to do this. By the way, where's the ACLU on all of this? Do you remember the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union? So the ACLU, I wish my stinking computer was working, but it's not allowing me to put my input in here. I don't know what's happening today.
Did you try turning it off and on?
What's that? The computer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
And then you
display
unplugged
connected mirror displays or extend display desktop?
Mirror.
Yeah. So it was mirrored and it's not working today. I don't know why.
And Amy Perkins saying Trump made the vaccine political. No other vaccine has been politicized like this. The thing is, Amy, everything in this country is politicized now. And it was well before Trump that all this stuff is politicized. I mean, I don't like Trump either, believe me, but it's not because of him that this issue was politicized. It's because everybody has their flags planted on the left and the right. So if the Democrats start saying that the vaccine is good and that we have to do it, then the Democrats are going to, hell or high water, they're going to plant their flag, and everybody does it. And if you don't, it's wrong. And that's everything, not just the vaccine. So it's not really fair to
makes sense.
It doesn't. And it's not fair to put that on Trump, even though he is a tyrant.
Exactly, Judge. Lisa Pettit says, Clayton, would you get the vaccine over again if you knew what you knew now? Great question. I mean, what I know now, that the data shows that it keeps people from dying. So yes, in that way, I would get it again. But I went under the auspices that it was going to protect my elderly neighbors and my children and my community, right? It was going to help us get past this pandemic. That's the reason I went and got it, right? And that's not the case. I will say, though, there is really darn good evidence about masks. So, is that here to stay? Like, we haven't even talked about the mask side of this. But, apparently it reduces it by like 3 times, right? The transmission rate by having masks, like the N95.
Well, how many masks? Because they said 1, then they said 3. And
now you got to wear 2 who knows? I don't know, but apparently masks work. And by the way, all you needed to see last year was the frickin', maybe we're not talking much about it, but like Walgreens CEO, they're wondering like, why during last year was Walgreens and CVS's profits down significantly last year? I'll tell you why. And the CEO admitted it. He said, because we had no flu. So we didn't have people walking in to buy additional like flu remedies and other things like that, lozenges and medicines. So we didn't have the foot traffic that we normally had. He said, so our profits were down. So all of these people that get the flu, like they go to CVS and Walgreens and they end up buying a bunch of crap. They're like, I need some saline drops. I need, you just stock up, right? Cheese balls and other stuff you buy there. Their profits were in the toilet last year because everyone was wearing masks and washing their hands. So maybe that's the answer. I'm just throwing it out there, right? But maybe we should have some discussions about that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like everybody's like, well, but the vaccines will eventually get us to herd immunity. No, it won't. If it doesn't stop the spread, you're not getting the antibodies. No, it will never stop the spread. If all of these variants keep coming out, then it's never going to do anything because they are not addressing the core problem, which is getting the antibodies. That conversation, that was the main, that was the main conversation that was being had at the beginning. And now you don't hear about antibodies at all because why? They don't matter anymore. It's all about getting the vaccines with no data backing up why. It's like we're in Afghanistan. Why? What was our goal? Why were we there? Well, just trust us. We had to be there. It's a war on terror. So right. We have the same people telling us, just trust us, get the vaccine, everything's fine. Women are becoming sterile, and all this other stuff. So, but don't worry about that. Don't question that. Just get the jab, be a good little people. 6,000 deaths potentially, 300,000 potentially serious side effects. But you know what? That's no big deal. That's collateral damage. Just like the hundreds of thousands of Afghanis we've killed, innocent people, children, mothers, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Don't question
just
it.
Shut up. Yep. Shut up and do it.
Don't question it at all. Dean Thomas says, I should read what you sent me an email. I have to, I'm searching for it, Dean. I can't find it in my inbox here, but I'll look for it here if I can find it. Downloading 24,000 new messages that I've got. Downloading, 26,000 messages. So I will try to dig through that, Dean. I appreciate it. But I wanted to talk real quick about ACLU because I think this flip-flop is pretty stark. So Glenn Greenwald has done some really interesting reporting on the ACLU prior to COVID. So the American Civil Liberties Union, right? You'd think like, hey, the American Civil Liberties Union, hands off my body, right? Hey, you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me to get a vaccine, which is where they were. The American Civil Liberties Union surprised even its harshest critics, Glenn writes, this week when it strongly defended the coercive programs and other mandates from the state in the name of fighting COVID. Far from compromising them, vaccine mandates actually further civil liberties, its Twitter account announced, adding that vaccine requirements also safeguard those whose work involves regular exposure to the public. Wow. Well, if you were surprised to see the ACLU heralding the civil liberties imperatives of vaccine mandates, Glenn writes, and the vaccine requirements, whereby the government coerces adults to inject medicine into their own bodies that they do not want, then and they promoted this now in a vaccine article written in the New York Times, which the group promoted. They promoted this, saying, do vaccine mandates violate civil liberties? The ACLU says we disagree. It's really weird. It was almost like it was like written, as Glenn says, by the NSA. Here's what they say. When it comes to COVID-19, all considerations point in the same direction. In fact, far from compromising civil liberties, vaccine mandates actually further civil liberties. Many claim that vaccines are justifiable, intrusion on autonomy and bodily integrity. That might sound ominous, because we all have the fundamental right to bodily integrity. What makes the ACLU's position so remarkable, besides its inherent shock of a civil liberties organization championing state-controlled mandates overriding individual choice, Glenn writes, is that very recently the same group warned of the grave dangers of the very mindset it's now pushing. If you remember, back in 2008, they wrote a comprehensive report called Pandemic Preparedness. And in that report, they basically said that the relationship between civil liberties and public health is a contemporary U.S. pandemic planning, and it makes a series of recommendations for developing a more effective civil liberties-friendly approach. And its key warning in this report from 2008 was not all public health interventions have been benign or beneficial, however. Too often, fears aroused by disease and epidemics have encouraged abuses of state power. Atrocities, large and small, have been committed in the name of protecting the public's health. Basically forcing people to get vaccines. And specifically, they call out the avian bird flu. And they call out 9/11. That every outbreak of disease could be the beginning of some horrific epidemic requiring the suspension of civil liberties. And they warn against it. And they say the worst possible way to respond to a deadly pandemic was through coercion and mandates. Which is exactly what we've got. But the ACLU has now completely flip-flopped on this issue. Completely switched. Why? You may ask yourself that. I did. And once you start to dig into it, I always want to start with the money, right? So I started digging into why suddenly is the ACLU flip-flopping on this position. And what you come to realize pretty quickly is that one of their biggest donors is Bill Gates.
What?
Mm-hmm. One of the biggest donors of the ACLU is Bill Gates. It's shocking, I know, but hey, go where the money goes, right? Which is where, and Bill Gates is pretty vocal about pushing the ACLU in certain directions, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, on different issues. And wouldn't you know, they get a phone call from the ACLU on certain issues right after Bill and Melinda Gates donate some money to the ACLU. So is it surprising? I mean, follow the money. Always follow the money, people. Always. Always follow the money.
Well, then we have a couple people in the chat saying, they're already out there mandated vaccines and stuff like that. But the thing is, the vaccines that already exist do what they were intended to do. They do exactly as intended. This vaccine is not doing as intended. It's not doing what we were told. It's not stopping the spread. It's not going to get us to herd immunity. So what is the point?
Right. And Prank Family says, please stop blaming the unvaccinated for the spread of COVID. I'm unvaccinated. I got tested once a week since the pandemic started. I have never had COVID. How am I spreading anything? Again, it's not you. The mainstream media argument is saying that it's you, Prank Family. But we know that if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, it doesn't matter. You're still spreading the damn thing. And by the way, if now this deadly Delta variant is now we've got 5 different variants, right? And the vaccine is only really supposed to help us from dying against the first variant. So how many more of these things do we need to take?
And the thing is, like, people, and I don't know where people they're getting their news or their data or whatever, but like, there's no data backing up that it is stopping the spread. Where's that data? Where's the data showing
again,
it?
I'm asking for it. Even if you do a simple Google search, there's 0 articles on it. It's not there. 0. Try to find where getting the vaccine prevents the spread. It doesn't exist.
And if it did, you know who would be touting it? The CDC, the WHO. They would be saying that. Look, people, get the vaccine. It is factually stopping the spread. No, can't find it. Just shut up and take it.
I love that people are still having a pineapple on pizza debate in our chat. Yes, continue to. It's not pizza. Remember that. Always remember that it's not pizza. Pineapple on pizza. Now that's something we can all agree on, right? Am I right?
I agree that it goes on pizza. So.
Oh, brother. All right. Let's talk about Dr. Fauci. So we were pretty early on this story, covering this earlier in the week. We brought you the story from The Intercept, and they did some excellent reporting on this, that through Freedom of Information Act requests, they were able to get the data and documents showing that the National Institutes of Health received grants, paying grants to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, basically backing and funding gain of function research at the Wuhan lab, which flies in the exact face of what Dr. Fauci said before Congress. So let me play what Dr. Fauci said before Congress, where he basically lied to Congress. And by the way, Rand Paul, everyone, let me just frame this for a second, right? This is how CNN plays this. CNN plays this like this, right? Back in July. Dr. Fauci excoriates Rand Paul. This is how CNN puts up their segments, because you can't talk bad about Dr. Fauci. Look at this. Rand Paul challenges Dr. Fauci again. Watch his response. He's the smiling one, right? He's the one that's pointing the finger. And the photo they use of Rand Paul is him drinking water in the thumbnail. Dr. Fauci excoriates Rand Paul. Look at this one. Senator Rand Paul challenges Dr. Fauci. Watch his response. At the bottom, you are entirely and completely incorrect. Dr. Fauci fires back at Rand Paul.
Oh, and when we covered that, the people in the chat were like, Rand Paul's a piece of crap, and I hate Rand Paul, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, there's a lot of things, like a lot of these people, I don't agree with a lot of their politics and stuff that they do, but sometimes they do get it right. And it's like, you don't even want to listen to them when they're getting it right, because you've planted your flag on the left, and you can't listen to a Republican. A Republican can't question a Democrat like Fauci, a honorable man like him that way, and have any truth to it. But there was truth to it.
Lisa Pettit says, what does excoriate mean? It means like you rip something apart, right? I mean, it's like in an argument, oh, he excoriated her. He ripped her apart. He showed her a new one, ripped her a new one. So yeah, that's how they framed this, right? Dr. Fauci excoriates Rand Paul. And at the time, like, Dr. Fauci was on like the Stephen Colbert show, kissing his butt, Stephen Colbert kissing his butt, and they were playing this clip and yucking it up, and like, he's like, oh yeah, Rand Paul doesn't know what he's talking about. And I am no Rand Paul fan at all. I am not at all. But that doesn't mean he didn't get it right, or at least give him the opportunity to answer this question, and he was on to something. And now we know that the line of questioning was pretty prescient. Listen.
Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. This paper that you were referring to was judged by qualified staff up and down the chain as not being gain of function. Let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans.
Right.
You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about. You
don't know what you're talking about. And yet the documents show otherwise. As we reported here on the show this week, new details emerge about the coronavirus research at the Chinese lab. Newly released documents provide details of U.S.-funded research on several types of coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. The Intercept obtained more than 900 pages of documents detailing the worth of the EcoHealth Alliance, a U.S.-based organization that used federal money to fund bat coronavirus research at the Chinese lab. And if you start to go through these documents, as I have, and again, we reported this earlier in the week, there's a number of things that come out, specifically the fact that it's well known that if you're doing research on these bat viruses, that the fecal matter, the particulates, are in the air, and it's very common to breathe them in. It's very common, and it's very common for it to be transmissible. And the fact that according to, and in fact, when the Intercept interviewed a number of different doctors, Intercept consulted 11 scientists who are virologists or work in adjacent fields and hold a range of views on both the ethics of gain-of-function research and the COVID-19 origins search. 7 said that the work appears to meet the NIH's criteria for gain-of-function research. Meaning that this was high-risk research that could have led to the current pandemic. One of the grants was titled Understanding the Risk of Bat Coronavirus Emergence. That was one of the grants. And yet, so he sits there with a straight face and he's trying to play, both sides of the fence here with this. This is not gain of function. And what does gain of function mean? It means that you're taking a current virus and you're adding function to it so that it can infect humans. That was particularly the studies that were being done on these particular viruses. And so 4 million people are dead as a result. 4 million people are dead. And yet, Dr. Paul, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Get one person.
Let's read from the NIH
Chair, can I
definition of
answer
gain
the
of
question?
function. This is your definition that you guys wrote. It says that scientific research that increases the transmissibility among mammals is gain of function. They took animal viruses that only occur in animals and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a pandemic.
And let's send Dr. Fauci.
I have to, well, now you're getting into something. If the point that you are making is that the grant that was funded as a sub-award from EcoHealth to Wuhan created SARS-CoV-2. That's where you are getting. Let me finish.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't
wait
know
a minute.
If it did come from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
So, I mean, he's dancing around. It's not gain of function research. According to Richard E. Bright, a molecular biologist at Rutgers University, the documents contain critical information about the research done in Wuhan, including about the creation of novel viruses. The viruses they constructed were tested for their ability to infect mice that were engineered to display human-type receptors on their cells. What else is it? They took mice to make them look like, basically replicate human DNA in their cells. What else do you need? They were working on SARS-related coronavirus. They were carrying out parallel projects at the same time on the MERS self-related related coronavirus. In the lab. It leaks. It happens. These types of things happen in labs. But to say that the U.S. wasn't involved and to say you had we didn't know about it, and then why were we so flat-footed about this? We didn't know anything about this?
Well, and so just so people understand, like what they did is they took a virus that only existed in nature. It only was spread from animal to animal. That's not humans. There had never been a human infection of this virus. They took these mice, gave them human DNA, made it, and then made this so that this clung to their cells. They changed the molecular structure of this virus to make it cling to human cells, and that is what got released. This did not exist in nature. This is a man-made virus.
Man-made virus. And now that we have this information out there, Dr. Fauci was trending on Twitter. And why was he trending? He was trending because of this. But the mainstream media basically hid this. And when he had an opportunity, he was on again last night. He was on Anderson Cooper's show last night. Did he ask him about this? Nope. No mention of it. Instead, they're on there to talk about Biden's mask mandate and how these unvaxxed people, they're crazy, and all these ivermectin people, like, you know, those people are taking horse swabs and all this stuff. That's what they'd rather talk about that. But don't ask him about this. And by the way, I think Sagar over on the Breaking Points had a good point about this. And but I'm glad we were actually first on this story, by the way, a few days early. But the Intercept was, but we were the first in broadcast to go on this story. But he had a good point. He said, you know, if we had a 9/11 style commission, or we had a January 6th style commission that investigated the Wuhan lab leak, or where this came from, not even like, hey, maybe it didn't come from there, but wouldn't you like to find out? But now we can't find anything about it, right? We were supposed to investigate this. President Biden said he wanted to investigate this, but he says, well, you know, I heard from my intelligence community that there's nothing to see here, and so we shouldn't investigate it. And that's where it ends, I guess. It's the end of the argument then, right?
Yep. More people are worried about the stupid January 6th thing than a global pandemic that's killed millions and millions of people. Let's worry about that.
Right.
Let's worry about January 6th instead.
Like, and I'm concerned about January 6th, but
I'm
less
than COVID?
No, but I'm saying I'm less concerned with who stole Nancy Pelosi's stapler than I am about 4 million people dying.
Right.
You know, like on a scale of like stuff that I'm worried about, you know? Yeah, I'm concerned that our Capitol got stormed and whatever happened there happened. I'd like to know that. I think we should all know that. Knowledge is power, right? But I'd also like to know how 4 million people are dead. And I'd like to have, in the United States, we're closing in on 700,000 deaths now from COVID. Well, and if this came out of a lab that we funded and we created, wouldn't we like to know that? Instead of blaming, it's racist. It's racist to say that the Chinese did it.
Well, and a couple of people have asked, why would they do this? The reason is they thought that, like, if we create this, then we'll learn how to fight it just in case something like this ever does form. But it's like, if something like that, what if the potential was never there for it to form? So what kind of good argument is that? So you're going to create something and figure out a way to fight it when it potentially never would have existed in nature ever. That makes zero sense. That's why the gain of function research was ended. Obama ended it, said you could not do it. And Fauci got Trump to open it up again and allow it. And so, you know, that's why they were doing it over there, because they couldn't do it in the United States. Otherwise, it could have been released here, because the scientist that Fauci mentions works in like South Carolina and does that research in South Carolina.
Yeah, you can't talk about it though.
No. And you have people that are just like, no matter what you say, no matter what happens, no matter what we produce on this show, no matter what documents they see, no matter what evidence proves that it came from a lab, people are going to stand with Fauci and they're going to stand with the Democrats, because they're like so like flag planted. I am not moving no matter what information comes out. I don't care. I don't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kim in our chat, Kim says, you have no proof it came from a lab. Your own source says it had nothing to do with COVID-19. Well, I don't believe so. What did that say that? Provide new evidence of U.S.-funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan.
It's pretty clear. Listen to Jon Stewart on Colbert. That whole argument.
Did it not cause the pandemic? U.S.-funded experiments in China posed biosafety risks, but did not cause the pandemic, scientists say. Okay. Well, what did then? Again, my question is, and the question wasn't, it's not about Fauci, it's about Fauci lying to Congress, having no involvement in gain-of-function research in Wuhan, doing research and doing this kind of gain-of-function studies that were not allowed when Obama ended it, mutating viruses that could escape and potentially infect us. I mean, isn't it bizarre that these new viruses keep popping up every few years, where we've gone hundreds of years where we don't hear about these new viruses? Now they just keep popping up every few years. Where are they coming from? Well, for doing research on it, we're literally creating them in labs. Start connecting the dots. I'm going to wait on this other story because we're out of time today. This buy now, pay later story. Let's save that for next week if we have time. So I want to get to some pet photos today. I think we've had enough uncomfortability for today, don't you?
Yeah.
But I can't show my screen, so I'm gonna have to send you the link. Can we do that?
Yeah.
So let's try to send you the link again here if I can. We got a good handful of pet photos today. Remember, you can email us your pet photos at pets@morninginvest.com. Here, I have to text it to you because I can't.
Oh. See, if there's any way you can send it in Facebook Messenger, that'd be easy. Oh, wait a minute. No, I can plug my phone in. So yeah, text works.
Okay, let me text it to you here. Yeah, I apologize, guys. So, yeah, if you guys want to share your pet photos, email us. Can you put on some music too?
No, I can turn on my music.
Let me see if I can try it from my side. There you go. Yay, pets. Look, that's why you subscribe to this channel, not just for pet photos, right? But we want to give you the news as it presents itself and as facts emerge. I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. So here's Amina. Can you read them to me because I can't see?
Yeah, this is Amina from Ramona Johnson in Long Island, New York.
Thank you, Amina.
Then we got Belinda Edwards, grand dog Biggie.
Biggie. Hey, Belinda's here. Belinda, are you watching right now? I think Belinda's here. I think I saw her.
Yeah, she was here earlier.
Yeah.
Then we got Bruno watching Morning Invest from Hartford City, Indiana, from Serena.
Thank you, Serena. What kind of dog is that?
That's one of those bull terriers like Spud McKenzie.
Yeah, I was wondering that. Okay.
Then we got Buddy from Darren Magnuson.
Cute.
That's a happy couple right there.
Yeah.
We got Coffee Cup Morning Invest from OTB Nation.
Coffee Cup. Are you feeding the
rooster?
OTB, is that what is OTB Nation? OTB.
I don't know. OTB.
Is it a rooster?
Nation.
Is there like rooster food in the cup?
Then we got Dan Sinsky. Okay, South Bend, Indiana. Woo, that's from my neck of the woods with Bella Sue. Fourth old American. I can't read all of that. Cute. Here, let's do this.
You can take them full if you want. Yeah, there you go.
We got Dempsey from Leah Oldman. And then we got Dobie Mug from Steve Watson.
Oh, is that a mini pincher, Steve?
Sure looks like it.
I need to get. I was thinking about the wintertime coming up here. I need to get a like a little sweater thing for Grover. Yeah.
Donna, if you want to submit pet photos, you send them to pets@morninginvest.com.
Yes.
Here we got Finley. We've seen Finley before, I think.
From
if I remember
Brenda
right.
Altman. Yeah.
Grover, meet Gizmo from Donna Roberts.
Grover likes that one.
Ooh.
It's cute. That's cute. That's a pretty dog.
This is Jacoby from Bishop, California, from Rhonda English. Jesus, pronounced Jesus, from Jefferson City.
Is that a crab? A hermit crab?
Yeah.
You have a pet crab? He's waving to us. Hey, Jesus.
Morning. This is Kai. Kai's cute.
Oh, pretty dog. Patrick.
Oh,
oh
Lil Kaylee. She's a Chihuahua Yorkie mix from Chicago. Kathy LaCroix.
Cute.
Motsy's birthday from Brenda Longfellow. Look at that little biscuit. Wow, that's cool.
Is that a biscuit or a sponge? It looks like
it
a
looks
sponge.
like a sponge. You gonna lick the sponge?
Covered in frosting, maybe?
Okay, what is that?
I don't know. Well, let's try to figure out what that is.
We got Montana, Jasmine, and Scooty from Sandy, Rochester, New York. Here we got Murphy and Mac from Wichita, Kansas. Like two little Frenchies.
Cute.
Here's my little buddies Chewy and Puppy from Michael Atchison. Look at that face.
Cute. Is that a mini pin too, you think? Yeah, it's probably.
That looks more like a dachshund to me, but it could be a mini pin. Can't really see the bod, but it has a kind of that dachshund look. But yeah, I think you might be.
Ula Hula, you can send your pet photos. You have to email them to our pet photo line. It's pets@morninginvest.com. Pets@morninginvest.com.
I'll throw that up right over your face there for a second.
Yeah, that's fine. No one wants to see me.
They want to see those lush eyelashes, man. What is it? Luscious?
Luscious eyelashes?
Yeah. We got my sidekick Simon from J. Roberts. Is that one of those long-haired? No.
Wow,
I thought it was like a Mark Zuckerberg dog.
Like a Wookiee. Can't even see his eyes. Her eyes.
No pet name from Jesus Rodriguez. Whatever. No name.
No name, but
through
glowing
the
eyes.
with the pet with no name.
I think that cat's from space.
Here we got our baby girl Khaleesi, aka Mother of Dragons, from Jay Wilson. So that's what happened to Khaleesi after
That does look like a Khaleesi, doesn't it? Blonde hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Owner Damaso and Rose Diaz, Milo sable colored, Delilah black colored, and I can't see the other name. Sorry, but there they are. That looks like a rough bunch.
Yeah. Those are trouble.
Yep.
Look at that. That's got. I always ask, is that a mini pin?
That looks a lot like Grover, so I'd say yeah.
Yeah.
But good of him to pose there for a picture. Here we got pet pics from Marcy. Looks like we got a little Yorkie and a kitty looking down at the Yorkie. Like, what are you doing up here?
So the last one, it was, I got the names. I was able to pull it up. Delilah was the black colored, Precious and Princess. And then Milo Sable was the colored. Yeah. So,
gotcha. Yeah. Seth, not spoiled at all. Wink from Belinda Edwards.
Of course, sleeping.
Doesn't look spoiled to me. Here we got Snickers and Harley. Sugar watching our favorite show in the morning from Belinda Edwards.
Thank you, Belinda.
That is looks like a Siamese cat.
Love that.
These are Bailey on the left and Lexi, 12-year-old standard Munchkins.
Munchkins.
Wow, that one looks like a raccoon.
Munchin? Is that a Munchin? I don't know if that's a type of cat.
It says
standard Munchin. Munchins? Or is that meant to be munchkins? Is a Munchkin a type of cat?
Thick boy.
Munchkin.
That's the same picture we already saw.
Oh yeah, Munchkin cat. It's actually missing the K. It's a Munchkin cat. The Munchkin cat, or sausage cat, is a relatively new breed of cat characterized by its short legs.
Huh, like a corgi? The corgi cat?
Yeah, like a dwarf cat.
Taishi and Yorkie and Coda, black and white Havanas from Alicia and Kevin.
Havanas? I've never heard of that.
Me either. Look at that hairdo.
That's a nice with the bow.
Uh-huh.
It's cute.
We got Virgo Moon from Jacksonville, Florida.
Hey, it's Virgo season. It's Virgo season right now. It's Virgo season.
Yeah. Those eyes. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, that must be it.
That's it. All right, I got one for you.
One
for you. So, you were asking me to get some pet photos of Grover.
Yep.
Because we're doing our new mug designs and stuff. So, I was out shooting some video this morning of him in the grass, and I was trying to do because he'll do his little head tilt when I make a noise, like I'll make like a cat sound. He's like, normal. Then I say go meow, and he goes. I was trying to take a pictures like when he does the little cat. So here he was today. Oh, why is no audio? Hold on.
Meow.
Let me do a restart here.
Okay, Grover, we're gonna do some pictures. Ready? Meow. Yeah, turn your head a little bit. Ready? Meow. Meow. Meow.
It's like, what are you doing, man?
Meow. Meow.
Grim,
look for
hopefully you can grab we're going to put those on the mug, so.
Meow.
It's like, I'm not scared.
Meow. What is that? Meow.
Yeah.
Does that one ear ever stand up, or does it always stay down?
No, it always stays down.
Yeah, turn your head a little bit. Ready? Meow. Meow. Meow.
It was super sunny out there today.
Meow. Meow.
That is awesome.
Oh man! So thank you everyone for an awesome show and engaging with us today on some uncomfortable topics. Today I'm going to go see Shang-Chi with my son. We're going to do a little movie night tonight.
I've heard really good things about that.
Yeah, so we're going to do a movie night tonight. My wife was supposed to go. She's been sick all week, like throwing up and not feeling well. And then my stomach is killing me. So I'm like, hopefully I can go. I really want to go to the movies. I haven't been to a movie since, my gosh, I don't remember the last movie I've been to. I think we saw that. Was that 1913 movie or 1911? Whatever the war movie was. 1914.
I think that's
whatever the World War I movie that was like nominated for Academy Awards.
Yeah, that's like last, 2 years ago.
Almost now. That's like the last movie I've seen in the theater. It's crazy.
You know what? Just thinking about it, I don't even remember the last movie I saw in the theater. Like I've not gone since. Wow.
AMC reporting better than expecting earnings because people are lining up to go to the theater. And again, good.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah. Let's see. Anyway,
how's my Bitcoin looking?
Let me go to Bitcoin, see what Bitcoin's doing here.
I got to check and see if I'm rich yet. Nope, still down. Now it's down to 45. Holy cow.
Ooh, time to buy again.
Yep.
It could go down to 42. That's probably, we'll see. If it goes down to 42, I was hoping it would stick at that 45. If it stayed at 45, 46 for a while, that would be encouraging.
So we do have a few super chats to get to really quick.
Okay.
Whoa. Sorry about that. That would be my phone being too close to the microphone. All right, super chats. Oh wow, we got a lot of them today.
I think I read a lot of them as they came in. So
yeah, I bypassed those. Sheen Shani Crespo, I just lost my unemployment benefits and I have been looking for work now. I'm afraid that I will not get the job unless I get vaccinated. I'm scared.
Well, I guess it depends on the job, right? And the mandates.
Yep. Shannon Chambers, if I understand this correctly, the vaccine stops spreads of the Alpha variant, but Delta is much stronger, and that is why it does not stop the spread. And there's no, like, we have no information on whether it's stopping the original spread of the original, the Alpha, the Beta, like whatever. There's no info on any of it.
Right.
D. Pearson, that's the best thing I've ever heard from BitBoy Crypto in my life when he states all those XRP army people were right the whole time. Jonathan Alexander with a super sticker. Thank you. Jonathan Alexander. Biden said in his mandate speech that unvaccinated Americans are costing us resources. I would say our vaccinated president just wasted $86 billion.
Yeah, I'm just curious, what resources? I mean, if you go to the hospital and you're taking up a bed, I get that piece of it.
But yeah, but that's where do you draw the line? Like you were saying, if you go to McDonald's and eat every day and you go in there because your heart's exploding, like what is the difference?
Right. So, okay, all these people, heart disease kills more Americans than anything else, right? So how many resources, like the reason we won't like help people ahead of time or promote like healthy eating in the United States is because the industry makes too much money off of us being addicted to processed foods. And the processed food lobby drives so much money through Washington. And lobby, the corn syrup lobby and everything else. The reason our food pyramid is laughable is because of the processed food lobby. So you want to get down to brass tacks and talk about like what things are actually tying up our resources across the United States, that we have to build heart centers in different towns because our hearts are, we have so much heart disease. The fattest country in the world. Go to Okinawa and see how they do it. Why do they have no heart disease there? They have like no cancer. And almost everyone lives to, not everyone, but they have more centenarians than any area in the world. More people live to be 100 years old. Why?
You are what you eat. That's what it is. Yeah. But think about this for a second. Let's say you've never had COVID, you've never had never had it at all, okay? Mm-hmm. You've tested negative, and you get the vaccine, which does give you a little bit of it. So therefore, you have it. You technically have it in you. So therefore, somebody who is like has never had it, and then they get vaccinated, now they could be a spreader. Like they could actually be spreading it now and infecting people when they never would have before, because there's no proof that it doesn't, stop you from spreading it. So. You know what I mean? There's just like too many questions.
Yeah. I mean, so I got to take umbrage with my friend of mine who's a great writer. And he just posted this on his website. And he linked to this Biden issues sweeping new vax mandates for 100 million Americans. So he was linking to this article, right? And he writes, more like this, please. Mandate COVID-19 vaccinations for everything. For getting on a flight, for going to school, for eating in a restaurant, for keeping your job. Yes, mandating anything is an extraordinary use of authority, but this pandemic is clearly the most extraordinary crisis most of us have ever lived through. It's exactly why the federal government has the far more extraordinary power to draft men into the armed services and send them to war for the greater good.
Wow. That authoritarian much?
What is the greater good here? I think we're missing the point here. What is the greater good?
Yeah. Again, if there was proof, right? If there was proof that the vaccine was actually stopping the spread, stopping everything, we would all take it. We would happily take it if it was proven that it was doing what it was intended to do, but it is not. And there is no proof that it is. Maybe there is proof, no proof that it isn't either. But either way, if there's a question, why can't that question just be answered and show us the data, and then maybe we'll get on board? But instead, they hide everything. It's all hidden. T. Johnson, did they have masks on in the class? We did that one already. Jalen Hicks, thank you for the super sticker. Tau Sigma, does the FDA CDC have enough info to work better? I mean, the thing is, the CDC's been all over the place this whole pandemic.
Right, but what more do they need? I mean, is more just throwing more money at the CDC? Is that the issue? Is that what we need? I mean, the argument is that Trump gutted the CDC when he came in, so maybe that was an issue. I don't know.
Maybe they're just overwhelmed with all the power for eviction moratoriums and stuff they've been given. And Billy says, I'm alive, David. I got the shot. Yeah, a lot of people are alive that got the shot. That's good. That's good. That's good for you.
Yeah, I'm alive. I got the shot.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who aren't. Potentially 6,000 people or more. But they say that's been
not potentially. According to the CDC, it's already 6,000 people. That was in July. So how many more since then? Since our vaccination efforts really ramped up.
Yeah, and the thing is, like they would way underreport if anything. Shani Crespo, kids under 12 cannot get vaccinated, and my reason for not getting vaccinated is infected my youngest child and my 2 grandkids who are too young. Awful. Grim, I'm not anti-vaxxer, ain't taking the jab, and Brian is a huge tool. You're cracking me up.
You're cracking me up.
Phil Churchill, my wife has been afraid to get vaxxed. I got the jab to show her it's safe. She has been sick with COVID for a week, and I'm not. It works and is safe. Yeah, but is she in the hospital? Is she threatened with? I mean, there's a lot of people who have had COVID, and it's just like a cold. It comes and goes.
Or like my dad, who was 86 and had no symptoms and got it.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Hanks. He was Tom Hanks, like the first public person to get it. Stayed quarantined for a little while, and he's fine. Tony Jocelyn, how did you find out the truth about this whole situation? How do you find out the truth about this whole situation? It's a problem. You can't, because you can't ask questions. Nobody can talk about it. And if you try to talk about it, you're anti-vax and people want to cancel you or they want you dead.
You can look at you can talk to doctors who have worked for the CDC. I mean, you can talk to as I've talked to doctors who worked for the WHO and talk about what a crap show it is there, and explain to me how things work. You can talk to nurses. You can talk to the hospital staff. Again, I think gumshoe reporting, like on the ground gumshoe reporting, and my biggest problem is the stuff that's suppressed. The stuff that's suppressed by Google, the stuff that's suppressed by Twitter, the stuff that's suppressed by the mainstream media. Like we're not allowed to talk about this woman's story that I brought to you today, this woman menstruation story. Good luck finding that anywhere on CNN or MSNBC or any of the networks. They're not going to talk about it. So again, that's the stuff that bothers me is the suppression of information. To me, that's authoritarian. When you start suppressing information or trying to keep people in the dark, keeping people ignorant, that's what dictators do. They've done it for thousands of years.
Well, and Ula brings up a good point here, this comment. Selective outrage, not the same outrage for the obesity epidemic, not the same outrage for, how many people drunk driving still kills, heart disease. Like, where's the war on heart disease?
Right. Well, there's no money in that, right? Because then we wouldn't be able to fund it through big pharma. So the broccoli, how big is the broccoli lobby? Not very big.
Jamaica. Sherilyn McFarland. There was a little girl who died here in Florida from at the second week of school. Jamaica. I have twin adult sons, 19, nonverbal autism conserved, Northwest diagnosed this year with CP. I have no intention getting myself or my sons vax. I am very concerned for future kids on the spectrum. If vax up, okay. Mask up, okay. Cold games, the only way to stop the spread, don't vaccine. The spread started after people got vaccinated. I would argue that it was spreading well before the vaccine.
Yeah. We didn't have a vaccine. It was spreading like wildfire before we had a vaccine. But
Val McCoy.
But it hasn't stopped. The point is, it hasn't stopped since we have the vaccine.
Right. Which is what we were told it would do. We would be able to get back to normal if we got the vaccines. Is everything normal?
No.
Cookie that chick. But we still sit up here and eat McDonald's and all that BS they sell us on the grocery, but y'all scared to get vaccine. I'm done. Oh, you read that one. Sorry. Gary Soto, super sticker. Christopher Santos, super sticker. Your Imperial Majesty, what if the vax stopped sperm? Then what?
Good question.
Yeah, I think it'd be cheaper than a vasectomy, I guess. Gary Soto, the way is to not saying the magical word, but have everyone sit out for 21 days UBI and watch how it dies down ASAP.
Yeah, that would be nice. Chopping broccoli. She chop.
Oh yeah.
Chopping broccoli.
Grimskull, four most horrifying words to hear from the government. We're here to help.
Angie D in the chat says, what bothers me is all the lies. It reminds me of the Costanza saying from sci-fi. What bothers me the most is all of the lying.
Shelley Durnell, when did we move to Russia and give up our rights?
Yeah.
Well, and you know, and honestly, I am totally against the mandate, but guess what? If the vaccine, if we did have a global pandemic that was killing millions of people and the vaccine really did work and there were and they had data to back it up, it had been you know, shown us the information all along the process. There weren't lies here. The CDC wasn't lying. The WHO wasn't wrong. Like YouTubers were telling the truth and getting banned for it and all this other stuff. If that all would not have happened, then I could get behind a mandate if it was truly about people just not taking the data seriously and not stopping what could be stopped as a global pandemic. I could actually get behind that. But that is not the case because there's no proof that it has stopped the spread at all.
Yeah. Hey, we got more super chats, I think, but I want to tell you first about our friends over at IP Vanish. You know what IP Vanish is, don't you? It's a way to hide yourself anonymously on the internet so people can't track you. You trust the government? Do you trust anybody these days? I mean, these guys, you have the government, you have businesses that are hacking. Do you ever feel like you're being followed all around the internet? Advertisers know more about you than they let on. Our new sponsor, IP Vanish VPN, is here to help you take back your privacy, help you become anonymous on the internet. So what is IP Vanish? It's a virtual private network for short. It's an important tool that helps you browse the internet safely. So go to ipvanish.com today. Claim your 65% savings. Their annual plan is just $44 for the first year with our exclusive discount. This is the time to sign up with our discount and their current promotion. You can get a VPN for 65% off their usual offering. IP Vanish is the best of the best, even rated 4.7 out of 5 on Trustpilot. That has more than 6,000 reviews. Remember, it's ipvanish.com/invest to get the deal and start protecting yourself online. Super easy to set up. Thanks, IP Vanish.
Thanks, IP Vanish.
Any more super chats?
Nope, that's it. Lisa does have a question. David, what is the website to check which subscription you have? So everybody watching right now, if you have the YouTube membership, what you want to do is there's up in this corner, you have your little avatar, your little picture. Click on that. It's going to drop down and you're going to see subscriptions and payments. Click on that, and that's where you'll find all of the subscriptions that you have if you have YouTube Red or Premium or whatever they call it now. And then that way you can change your membership to whatever you want. There you go.
Yeah. So become a channel member. Support independent journalism. Support what we do here. You can do it for like the price of a cup of coffee once a month. For $1.99. YouTube gives you a choice of like how low you can make the rates, and they give the lowest one is $1.99. So we chose that one, the lowest possible rate to support our show. And support what we're doing here. We're not CNN. We don't have billions of dollars. If you go to morninginvest.com/join, that's how you can become a channel member.
And Lisa, the unwanted subscriptions will be there too. All of your subscriptions there. Unless you're just talking about YouTube channels that you have subscribed to, all you got to do then is go to the channel and click on subscribe.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Frank Frederick says, my coffee is cheap. I make my own. I guarantee this is still cheaper than you buying the beans and the water.
Oh, I got a question.
Yeah.
Are we making bagels this weekend?
You know, I was going to, but maybe I will Saturday. Maybe I'll do that on Saturday. I'm feeling like dog dirt right now. So,
what exactly is dog dirt? Just out of curiosity.
It's a nice way of saying it's a nice way of saying, yeah. There you go. Thank you, Grim.
Oh, Lisa's asking about the one that checks on subscriptions you forgot you had. That is it's one of our sponsors, Truebill. Yes. Yeah. Lisa, Truebill.
They haven't been a sponsor for a while, but hey, we'll give them props. Do we have that graphic you can put up here?
I'm trying to find it really quick.
Truebill
I still use it. I get anytime I have any kind of deposit or withdraw from my account, it sends me a message say, "Hey, did you approve this big transaction?" And it tells me, "You've got these subscriptions. You still want them? You want us to cancel them for you?" Like, "Yep, I still want this one." But it's like it's helping me keep track of like all the stuff that I have. They're not in here.
But Truebill.com.
Oh, here it is.
They have you have it? Yeah.
Yep.
There it is. TRU, right? No E. Truebill.
Is there no E?
Let's check it. Man, my computer is acting like this Intel piece. Man, nothing's working. Nothing makes sense.
So it does show TRUE, but the other one does work. That's weird. So it does go to them. Wonder if they gave us that because that's their track link or something. That wouldn't make sense, would it?
No. It's weird.
I'm going to add the E.
All right. So add the E. Truebill.com/invest. Yeah, my stomach feels like someone just punched me in the stomach too. All right. Go watch your Bitcoin.
Yep, I'm watching it. It's still going down, but what goes down must go up, right?
Exactly. Just keep it going for a few months. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. If it goes any further down, it's time to buy the dip. I bought some dips yesterday. Some delicious dip in Phantom
I never
coin.
did like dipping. I knew some girls. There were some cheerleaders where I'm from in Bremen, Indiana, or not where I'm from, but where I lived that dipped.
Ew.
Yeah. And these were like, cheerleaders, like,
ugh.
Yeah.
Nothing
there was
hotter
a saying
than a
in that town.
Nothing hotter than a cheerleader with a dip packed in her lip, right?
Yep. There was a saying in that town. The girls in Bremen, Indiana either baled hay or ate it. But we loved them.
No, I bought Phantom coin yesterday in the dip because I think that's heading high. Phantom coin, really good coin. So I bought that. It was one of my altcoins I bought more of yesterday in the dip. Anyway, all right, everyone. Peace out. Much love to all of you. We will see you back here. We got some stuff this weekend. I've got a special video on Sunday for you. Don't forget to watch that. A company that I'm investing heavily in right now. You don't want to miss that. And we have our Monday show. We'll have some other videos this weekend. But Monday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time, we'll be back. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Have a great weekend, everybody.